Hello, this is me. I am making you a video using this folder right here in the center called ForMother that contains your three images. We're going to be talking about how to use Photoshop, and we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to click File, Open, and just hit this button right here until I get back to the desktop. And I believe that file was called ForMother, or the folder was called ForMother, and I'll just open all three of these here. So now I've got these open. I will make a new file, File, New, and let's just say that we want to set it to inches or something that you understand. And let's say 300, even though for web resolution it's going to need to be 72, right? So 72 for web or 300 for print, and we're going to call it 8.5 by 11 for fun. Now, these tabs here, that's what they are. 1 image, 2 image, 3 image, 4. Right, so I'm going to go in here, detach this from the screen, and I can either drag it in, drag and drop, or, if I wanted to, I could select all by going select all, and then copy, which is edit, copy, or you copy it like Control-C, copy, and paste is either Control-V or select paste. I never actually do this. Edit, paste, there we go. I always do Control-V, because I can paste a bunch of things really quickly with Control-V. Now, notice something that's happening over here is I'm creating multiple layers of this one same thing, which, if I'm using the selection tool, I can drag multiple layers around and they move. Like, notice that this one here is moving inside this screen. This one here will now move inside this screen. It just, so you can know where stuff is. I can turn stuff off or on using this, but not lose anything. A quick example, let's turn this image red by drawing all over it. Go to my brush tool, which is here, or if you want, you can just hit Control-B, not Control-B, just B for brush, and then draw all over it with some red for fun. Red, 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 red. Notice that this red shows up here. So, if I want to, I can turn it off or on, move it around, make it the center, or put it behind this thing, or come up here, use the selection tool, which is V, again, move this around, put it on top of things. So that's pretty useful. That's a quick one on moving stuff around. So practice that for a second. I'm going to delete all but one of these. That was click, shift, hold down shift, click, and then I have all of these, which I can either move around here or delete. I can either hit the delete key or, and I'm going to back up with Control-Z, or just drag them down here to the trash can. Right? So that's that. This layer is still here. It's just not viewable because the little eyeball is not turned on. So I turn the eyeball on and drag it up. So that's a quick introduction on Photoshop in general, right? I can close this now since I don't need it anymore. I need these, so for this one I'll hit Control-A, which is select all, Control-C, which is copy, switch over here, and Control-V, which is paste. Then close it. Here, I'll do it the other way and go select all. Let's see, edit, copy. Go back into my other image and go edit, paste. So that's the two ways you can do that, right? I'm going to go ahead and close this. So now we have this one thing with 3 different layers in it. 1, 2, 3. And the background, if you want, can be transparent or not. It just is what it is. We can paint the background red if you want by using the paint bucket tool, which is this thing right here. red, and we'll do it for fun so we can see better. So let's say that we want this image at the bottom, and it's too big for the screen, so we're going to make it all of a good size. Actually, let's do this for fun. Create a new layer right by the trash can. This is new layer, which makes a new layer right here. Notice I'm going to delete that. It pops up right on top of whatever you're doing, so if I put it here, it would pop up there. New layer. But right on top of this one, I'm going to make a new layer. Oops, I just deleted that, sorry. Make a new layer. And M for mask, which is this tool right here. This tool really just drags this around. I want to keep that red for fun. And make this blue. Like a nice kind of gray blue. So this is your color palette here. You get to it once. It's kind of nice. Or you can use the eyedropper tool, which is either eye or this tool here. And we could select whatever we select over here will show up over here. So we select this red kid shirt, and the red kid shirt shows up over here. This black shows up over here. Or just grab the blue like we had before. So on this new layer, I'm going to use the paint bucket tool, which is G, which I can just push G for, or I can go and select it, right? And just click right in this area, and it makes this layer blue. I'm going to deselect the area by just clicking on nothing with the mask tool. And then back to my my mover tool, which is V, right here. Now I can move this around. So essentially, the reason that I've done this was to, one, show you how, and two, show you that I'm going to delete this layer and make a new one. M for mask, or just right here. I'm going to make myself a layer right here for text. It'll be fun. So G, or this tool, right? So G. On this new layer, I click and create a color, or a white space, or black. It doesn't matter. If I want to, I can drag this layer to the top, and it will cover everything else. That's just really handy to know. Okay, so, right. Now, I've got a red background and a blue layer that I want to put text on. Text is the T tool, type, right, or this tool here. And it will put on whatever color is on top down here. So if I type here, I can type, and it will be blue. I can use red and type. It'll be red, right? But you can't see the blue or the red there. And just for fun, I'm going to go white. Like I selected everything, came over here and selected a new color, which is going to be white. Actually, let's call it green for fun. And now everything will change color up here. Just going to, touch my little selector tool to get it off of type. And here this is. So let's presume for a moment that this is what we wanted to do. And we would say, step 1, in Sherry's process. I can't spell it all. A-R-I is process -- arrowhead thing, just for fun, because it's simple, and you don't have to draw the arrowhead or whatever. This isn't fitting in here very well, so I've decided to do something else. Once again, if you're texting, right, you need to get off the texting, because otherwise it'll just affect the text. So go up and click on this tool right here. Now, this isn't big enough, this blue layer, so I can transform it in any direction that I want by going to Edit, Transform, right? Or I can go to Free Transform, which I will now do. This makes this box be able to move in any direction that I want it to, any way that I want it to. It just makes the object do that. Let's try it really quick with one of your images. This small one on top, right? This small one on top. Now, instead of going to Edit, Transform, Free Transform, I'm just going to click on Control-T, which is Transform. If I hold my Shift button down, it will only transform it in ratio, like the same ratio that it is. If I let my Shift button go, it'll squish out to wherever my mouse is, and I can do random stuff to it. So that's good to know too. I know this video is getting kind of long, but it is what it is. So for fun, that was that. We're going to go back and transform this to a more useful space, right? Notice that my thing is snapping directly to where it needs to be instead of going weirdly off the screen, like being all touchy. That is because I'm going to hit enter so the transformation takes place. Under view, I have snap on. If you get sick of things snapping to where they think they should be, just turn that off. So I'm going to turn it back on for fun. So we've got step one. And remember, you can move anything around that you want to. Woo, just like that. Step one, we're going to say, let's get this crap out of the way. So I hit this, hold shift down here, and I can move a bunch of stuff at once. That way, I'm going to say step one is M for mask or mask tool. Select my area. Color it something like green. Okay. Oh, I need to go to my little paintbrush tool. I'm going to make a new layer, because if I do it in this layer, it'll be in the same layer as this image, right? So this object and this object are now in the same layer. So if I go and move them around, they'll move together. We'll talk about that in a second. So I'm going to go back to my history here and back up as many steps as I want to, or not, right? So backing up, I want this to be in a new layer. So I back up to where I made this mark, or rather made this selection area with my mask tool, and create a new layer so that it's its own object. I've selected green. I select my little thingy here, click in the space, and it makes it green. So M for mask, click anywhere else, and that removes the mask. You can also make a new one if you want to, but I don't really want to. You can drag your mask around if you're on the mask tool, but I don't care about that. So V, or this tool, for moving. And I'm going to say, I'm using my arrow keys here, arrow, to position things easily without having to use my mouse. Then, for fun, I'm going to copy this here, right? Just drag it down, copy it here too. It makes it a new layer that's a duplicate of the other one. I'm going to drag this over using my shift key to keep it in the same place. Notice it's behind this thing, so I'm just going to come down here and drag it up above this thing. Come on. There you go. Change the text color for fun, because this is a tutorial. We're going to do all sorts of dumb fun stuff. There we are. And I'm going to type, step one in Cherry's process is get some paper. And I don't have to move it around with this. When I'm on the type tool, I can just drop down below the type area and move it. Or if I want to, I can move it around with the move tool. But don't worry so much about that, right? So get some paper. Step two, I'm making a new thing right here. Holding down, clicking on V, so I'm on this tool, right? Holding down Shift, clicking and dragging down. Type tool with the T, or this. Step 2 in Cherry's process. 2 is to draw something. And actually notice that this is, again, this is just too big. I don't like it. Draw something, click off of it, and go to Edit, Free Transform, squish it down. I'm holding down the Shift key again, so it doesn't go all wonky on me, right? So, holding down the Shift key, press Enter. There that is, right? So, oh, I forgot to put some arrows in. T for Type tool. Select where you want. Space over to the end. Little thing. And for fun, since we already have this example here with the green thing, it represents the paper. We'll drag this to a new layer. V, or this tool. It's the move tool. We'll move it down. And, oh look, get some paper. We're going to copy that, move it down too, and draw something. Drawing something. You can also just press Control while you're still in type mode, and that will put this box around it. So notice that it's being wonky. I'm pressing Control. I press Shift as well, and it will do the same thing. It's just for fun. I know you're going to have to watch this video like 10 times, but I didn't want to make 10 different videos because they take forever. So, right, draw something. I go, oh wait, you know what? I want that to be less prominent, simply because it's too strong and I want to draw on stuff. So I'm going to draw first for the tutorial for fun, which I've got my blue. I can change it to a darker blue if I want, or whatever other color I want. B for brush, or I think there's a pencil tool, but I never use it. Brush, right? And I will go, I can't draw on this type layer. Notice it's giving me an error here. Okay. All right. What it did is it just rasterized the text. So I'm going to go back up, back up. Notice the text here has become an image instead of a type text layer. So I'm backing up before it rasterized the text. And I am going to, I want to draw on it, but it's not letting me. Okay, what do? I can either go and draw directly on this layer, or I can create a new layer and draw on top of that. Now the virtue of drawing on the layer is that it's permanent and it's on the layer. I like to do things in multiple layers for fun, because here I can switch to my move tool, which is V, and move this around on top of it, right? So that's useful, whereas here, since it's permanent, actually I'm going to move this out of the way. Here we drew on the layer permanently, like actually drawing on a piece of paper instead of the air, and notice it's not going away. It's not moving around. It's just moving the whole layer with the blue drawing on it because you physically drew on the layer, right? Here you physically drew on a layer that was floating in the air, so you can move it around. So that's kind of fun, right? Draw something. You know, this text, it's not right. I don't like it. So we're going to go to draw something, and we're going to say we want to move it down here. That looks fine. And we want to, you asked about applying layer effects to things. We're going to apply layer effects here by double-clicking outside the space. If you double-click here, inside this text space, you can change it to say anything you want, right? But then you just have to make sure you double-click outside the space to bring up this box. Has a bunch of options, right? So the only thing that you can screw around with this all you want, but essentially they are what they say they are. Drop shadow, and if you just put it on, it'll turn on. Off, it'll turn off. But you can also click on the property and manipulate it. Have it be gigantic, and like have it move away from the thing, make it huge, do whatever you want to it, right? So draw something. You can adjust its opacity, which is very handy for subtlety, right? So I'm going to make it, I'm just going to leave it at 75. That's usually the best setting anyway. You can have it multiply with black, which is a multiplication of its color on top of whatever other color it's on. Let's go ahead and show you what that means. So it's multiplying, and I drag it down here. Notice Z, which is this tool. I'm just going to zoom in here. Notice that it's black on green here and black on red here. Double click. Go to the property. This is what we're getting here. If we change these around, I'm just going to like push my down arrow. Down, down, down. We're going to get different effects which don't show up very well when it's just the solid color. This is something you can do with images that you probably don't care about very much, but it applies different effects to things, right? If you ever have a question about this, just go to normal, right? It starts on multiply, but if it's being weird, just go back to normal. Okay, so we've got this. Okay, we're already on this tool, so we press Alt as an alternative and click to zoom back out. Or we can do this. select the minus tool and zoom out, or the plus tool and zoom in, zoom out. Okay, so that's that. I prefer to just push Alt because it's fast. So we have now V for this tool, drawn something. And you know what? I don't want that blue in there anymore. How can I change the opacity of this thing? Interesting question. Down here, you have the fill opacity and the master opacity. Oh, notice here, we've got those options again. Those apply to layers. So here's multiply, here's normal, right? I'll show you in a second what those do. So the master opacity is everything that you've got there, right? Handy to know. The fill opacity is the actual layer, not the layer effects. These are the layer effects, right? So this will get rid of the layer, but not the layer effects. Notice we're getting rid of the layer, but the effects are staying around the outside. That looks cute, so I'll leave it that way for fun. Play around with that or don't. Doesn't matter to me. I'm going to come down here now to show you about this. And I'm going to click these off, that off so I can show you something. Now, normal, right? We're on normal. I'm going to push my down arrow key. Down, 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 down. No, it's not moving. Hold on. Down, 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 down. And we're getting different effects based on what the color information and the saturation information and the black and white information is on the image on the way down to the bottom. This is a nice way to be able to do all sorts of stuff, but you probably won't care about it. Sometimes I like to use it, just turn that off, I like to use it with the original layer, right on top of the original layer. To enhance it, I'll just go down and pick something that's, that's like multiplying it on top of itself. Just makes it more saturated toward the dark end of things. Like color dodge. Like you can look up what these things mean either in the Adobe Help or on the internet. Overlay is a nice one for paintings. It makes things really vibrant. And also it helps make up for camera problems in a sense. The problem with it, I'm going to go to my zoom tool here. It super saturates the colors, but at the same time, it makes things look a lot nicer. So, don't worry about that from the beginning. What you might want to do is finish your entire piece, like your entire Photoshop document image. Save it as a JPEG, so it's an entire flat file instead of all of this layers crap, right? Save it as a JPEG. And then do it to the whole thing. You see what I mean? So there's these two. Imagine that these are all, in fact, let's say that these all need to be gone. Going to select all of these by pressing Shift and clicking. Control, whoops, sorry about that. So back again. Shift and click. Control, Control, and I'm just going to drag all these to the trash can. Everything goes away except the background, which I can also drag to the trash can, or not. And these two layers. So imagine for a second that this is just one document with nothing in it except this. You're completely finished, and you just want to punch it up a little bit, right? So instead of having it sit here normal, sorry about that, normal, which is kind of washed out and kind of drab, you go to Overlay, punches it back up. I'm moving these into the center so we can see better. This is your completed image. Your completed thing with text all down the side and whatever. And that's just too much for us. So, well, we could turn it off or on. But notice, you can do this and choose what you want. Handy to know. So, I'm going to back up. There we go. I'm going to back up to where we've got all of our stuff. Delete this extraneous layer because it's stupid and we don't care about it and it's fat and it's ugly. Okay. We have, this is on, why is this being, yep, look, see, it's being weird because it's on overlay. So going back to normal. There we go. Okay, so Let's get back to the point here. Step 1, get some paper. Step 2, draw something. Step 3, so we're going to go over here and grab this, which we've renamed blah 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 blah. Oh wait, nope, this is this. Sorry. Sometimes I like to drag all of my text to the top so I can keep track of it. So I'm going to do that. Take step 2, copy it, drag it down, hold shift, holding shift for fun, draw something, finish drawing with your caps lock on for no reason. Finish drawing. Great. And you finish drawing something with this. Here it is. We can press Control T or edit free transform to wiggle this around. Hold shift so it doesn't get stretchy like all elastic band. Shift to maintain the aspect ratio. Finish drawing something. And we're going to call this, make a copy of the which is actually draw something. We're going to call this rough draft for fun, except we're going to turn our caps lock off. We hate the fact that it looks like this right now, so we're going to go ahead and turn all that back on, because it's just a copy of this thing. This thing is at 0. This thing was at 0. We just made it 100 again. And, you know, this drop shadow is crap. We hate it now. It's too ugly to live. We're just going to turn it right off. For fun, we're going to take the text, make it yellow, because that'll be ugly as hell. There we go. So, finish drawing. For fun, where is finish drawing? There it is. V to select. We want that to point right to the word for fun. Rough draft. Now, something interesting you can do here, right? Get all this crap at once. We're going to get finish drawing. Make a copy of it. We're going to get rough draft. Make a copy of it. Where's rough draft? We're going to put this rough draft again so it doesn't confuse me anymore. So we've got a copy of rough draft, we've got a copy of finished drawing, and we're going to get a copy of this image. Copy. Now we've got these 3 objects, 1, 2, and 3. This one we have in 2 pieces, right on top of each other, and same with everything else. So select this, go up, Control, select rough draft, so now we've got 2 things selected, and then select finish drawing, 3 things selected, and we can just drag them all down. Crap, we forgot to copy rough draft. There we go. Now we've got 2 rough drafts. I'll close these up for fun. Rough draft, finish drawing, 2 things selected. Whoops. 1, 2, 3, drag them down, hold shift, and say, now we're done. Now we are done. Done. Okay. I've decided that all of this is too big. So I'm going to select the top, scroll all the way down to here, leave my red and my blue layer alone, hit Control T, or free transform, Shift, and for fun, I'm going to push the Alt button because that makes it squish on in or out on itself in all directions. Notice, whoosh. Notice that it's selecting the edge of everything that's there, whether it's on or off the canvas, right? So, good thing to know, right? So, I'm going to just make everything smaller so I've got more space to work. Okay, great. And you can just do this all you want. I've decided that that was all stupid, but very educational, so I'm just going to back up and only make this thing smaller. Oh, wait, we need to put that in somewhere. Okay, let's do it. Let's grab everything except this big thing and the background. Control T for transform. Make it smaller by holding Shift and Alt. If I let go of Alt, it only goes this direction. Whichever direction is the furthest away from my selection. If I push Alt, it goes real. See what I mean? Okay, right. So here we go. We've got this going on. It's fantastic. We love it so much. Hit Enter. And now we've just got this giant big image left after this. So, right. V, selection tool. And we go Z for zoom. Now we're done. We could just go and, hit type again, blah, 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 blah. But notice it doesn't maintain the same properties that we've transformed. So it's actually, I think it's just easier to grab the layer that it is, right, this one, and copy it, drag it down. For fun, we're not going to hold Shift, so it'll be all weird and off the screen. And we're going to say, we have now added color and a lot of other stuff here. Get off of it. B for brush or brush tool, right? We'll select white. I'm going to add a layer, a new blank layer, and draw stuff, 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 and stuff. A lot. Oop, that's stupid. I think that I want that to be a different color, so I just come over here and switch it to green if I want. Lot. Oh, that's on top of my layer, so I'm just going to come down here to the layer that it is, make something below it, so add a new layer below the we have now added, whoops, added color and a lot of other stuff here. Now remember, here I can move this around. So below it, I can also move this around. We've got this green thing now, lot. Move it around, added, we, stuff. Now, once again, that was color, lot, now. Here, have, added we, a lot. So, anyway, move it around, lot of other stuff. Control T, make it smaller, whatever you want to do for illustration. Okay. You can also double click on this layer and use a layer effect if you want to, like drop shadow. Make it all big and weird for fun. Big and weird. Okay. So we'll pretend that we're done, and we have to place this image. Going to zoom out, Control T or free transform. Make this the size that I want. I have decided that this is not as vivid as this is, so I'm going to copy it on top of itself and use the overlay or any of the other effects that I think are pretty. Now it's too vivid, comparatively, just a little bit, so I'm going to drag its opacity down until I like it, about right there. Oh, incidentally, let's say that I want it to stay that way. I'm going to click here and click here to select them both, and I can either go to Merge Layer, where I don't ever use this. I actually just use my hotkeys. Come on, Merge Layer. This is nice too. I'll show you that in a second. Merge, there we go. Now notice over here, these two things are going to turn into one thing. This top one will lose its properties, and the bottom one will lose its properties, and both will become normal. So merge layers. Now instead of having two layers with one normal and one something else, like we did right here, right top, one normal, one something else, by squeezing them together, we have got one layer that retains the properties that we just did to it, but it's actually there instead of just computer there, right? So you also wanted to know how to make things pop out and stuff. We already talked about drop shadow, which we can do, put there. And since we're selected on this, we can move this around if we want to. When we're doing that, right here and right here, it's affecting the image. It's using global light. Notice that it's moving around the clock with the global light thing. This will, like, if you have a lot of drop shadows, you can affect them all at once by using global light. Or you can click off of global light and just affect the one that you're on. So let's say that we want this to be a little fuzzier. So do that. Make it a little fuzzier for fun. Great. Put it over here. Great. We want to emboss it and make the embossment huge and deep and hard. We can do all of that with these things. So that's for fun. Zooming out, we have the final thing that we need to do here. Not rough draft and not done. We want to go to, sure, we'll go, I want a big text, so I'm going to go find step 1. Drag it down, because I've got a new one here. And I can arrange these to make them in order again if I want to, if I'm getting confused. And type T for type, or type tool, and go. Now Jeremiah is done. With his tutorial. So he will eat some chicken. Great. And this is a very important step. So I'm also going to do stuff to it for fun, like give it a, if I want to quickly do something but not alter the text color, I can give it color from here. It's nice to be able to see really quick, but that's not what I want to do actually. I've decided that I'm going to give it a gradient overlay from here. I'm going to adjust its hoo-ha, right? Give it some extra points for fun. We're going to call, try this, that's Christmas, that's Halloween. Ah, there we are. I am as gay as they come. But I can't read this very well, so I'm going to apply this, and I'm going to apply something else for fun, like outer glow. I'm going to call this white, and make it bigger. That's actually not helping me read it. That's crap. Maybe it would if it was not at 75%. Do you see what I'm doing, right? So outer glow, maybe, maybe not. Nah, let's go. Drop shadow again. Bigger, bigger. Okay. Well, I can read that better. Alright, now I'm super gay, and I am drop shadowed, and I am done, and I am going to eat some chicken. Alright. That's basically that. I'm sorry this video is a million years long, but not knowing how to use Photoshop is kind of a problem. Watch this video when you need to. Right. In fact, watch it a few times when you're doing your first little thing. You'll get used to it pretty quick. I've tried to explain every step of the process. The point is just to interest the client from one thing to another so they can see all the work that goes in here. Right? You don't have to get so detailed they get confused. You don't want them to do that. You just want them to appreciate the steps in the process so that they can also eat some chicken, which in this case is analogous for buy something from you. Okay. I'm done now. So, right. Goodbye. Oh, wait. before we go, I've decided that all of my text layers are all over the place, and that's a mess. So I'm going to group them all together by either, because this turns into a mess, going to layer, group, wherever that is, right? Or by just pushing Control G, group. And now all of my text is in this layer right here, or rather in this folder inside the document. I open it up. I can still move stuff around if I want to. Moving done down here for no reason. Close it up. I'm going to do it to all my images as well. Control G. And look how clean that is. You can see everything. A lot of times I'll be working with one thing that has a bunch of stuff attached to it, like text, images, pointers, what have you. I'll put it in a folder or a group, right? And call it whatever it is. Dumb group. Dumb group 1.3, right? So dumb group 1, dumb group 2, dumb group 3, etc., etc., etc. Now I am actually done. So instead of going down here and selecting goodbye, wherever it is, there it is, right? I'm going to go up to auto select goodbye, or my green thing. Goodbye. Right. Don't pay attention to that. Don't ever use it. It's crap. I mean, I really hate it. Don't use it. Not kidding. Now, goodbye. I'm going to eat some chicken. Great.